Um, so Macbeth tasting, before we get into that, because as we are waiting for some stragglers and a couple just wandered in. Couple quick plugs. I think most of you all know about this, but I'm going to put them out there anyway. The Whiskey Advent tasting sets are ready for pickup. We have some available for sale as well, which is great. We are going to add a few more into inventory because what's there is nearly gone. There is a little bit more of it coming. So that's coming up in the not too distant future. Yeah, the tastings, well, we're like 3 weeks away. Is it 3 weeks or 4 weeks? 3.5 weeks, let's call it, from the tastings. Tastings coming up, Glenfarclas with Deb in store on Friday. I'm sure some of my staff will be upset about this one because we have our sale on this weekend as well. Perhaps not the best timing, but it's the only night Deb was available for a tasting in Calgary, and we jumped on it. Partly because I think the other date that was available was our whiskey festival. So we're glad to have her in. We're going to do some family casks as well as some age statement ballings up to the 35. And then we got to scroll down for Nick Neen, which is poured and ready to go. Annabelle Thomas is going to join us, I suppose, a week this Friday, if my look at the calendar is correct. And then Cadenheads, which is coming up on December 2nd. We might have someone from the staff on that, but I believe I asked Mr. Page, who is an Untitled Tasting, to join me on that one as well, if he's around. So got the thumbs up on that, so that's positive. While on the subject of tastings, if you're in the Springbank Society, you can expect an email tomorrow because we have a Springbank tasting to launch, which Doug agreed to host with me as well, closer to the middle of the month. So we'll have tasting kits for that available starting next week. But just in case there are more requests than kits available, we are going to do kind of I suppose, a registration form, just so I can make sure that everybody who wants to get in gets in and no one misses out. And then, yeah, the other thing that we mentioned was the sale. Our fall pre-Christmas super sale is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Everything in store will be 10 to 50% off, with the exception of a handful of new releases and most Scotch Malt Whisky Society bottles, but there will be some Society bottles on sale during the tasting or during the sale as well. Evan, anything else that I'm forgetting here? And I'm just realizing from the heat of this, I probably won't have the smoking jacket on for long, but it was really meant as a gesture more than anything else.
Yeah. No, I think that's it. We talked about the sales, the big one, and then whiskey calendar stuff, but I think that covers it.
Yeah. All right. So Macbeth Act II, I think before we get rolling here, perhaps it would be good if we had a quick refresher on what happened in Act One. In Act One of Macbeth, the witches prophesied that Macbeth will become the Thane of Cawdor and king. A prediction that seems to come true when he is awarded the title after battle. And he's manipulated by his ambitious wife, Lady Macbeth, to murder King Duncan during his visit to their castle. This is at least the Shakespearean version of it, and we'll perhaps touch on how accurate that is later in the tasting, because as a descendant of Scottish ancestry and certainly less English ancestry, I think it's fair to maybe reflect on who the real King Macbeth was, because there was a real King Duncan and a real King Macbeth. But we'll get to that. Act Two, which is where we find ourselves today. Macbeth, and this is Shakespeare's Macbeth, of course, murders King Duncan, followed by immediate guilt and paranoia. And I'm just basically, I'll level with you on this bit. I'm just reading from an AI summary. I don't know that we really need to go to too much detail on this, but the act leads to chaos, suspicion, with Duncan's sons Malcolm and Donald Blaine fleeing for their lives, which cast them as prime suspects in their father's murder. But it wasn't them. It was, of course, Macbeth. Or was it? Anyway, we're going to try some whiskeys. I don't know if all of you joined us or tried Act One when we did it, but it's an interesting concept. this Macbeth collection of whiskeys. And there were some great bottles in that first release. I think we can all agree. The only one that I haven't tried was the Glen Grant 56-year-old. And given there's still one in the shop, it's not outside the realm of possibility that that'll get opened at some point in time as a means of getting rid of it and getting it off the books. But I think it's fair to say that it was a well-received collection. And I think before we dive in too far, and if you want to go ahead and nose and maybe even sip that first whiskey, please feel free to do so. But I'll just give you a quick little bit of background here. So the collection was done by Elixir Distillers in partnership with Livingston and a few other folks. So who are those other folks? We don't need to see that. There's the act in all its glory. We've got 5, and this is for the whole thing. There's going to be 42 releases in total over 5 acts, with leads, thanes, ghosts, witches, murderers, and household servants. Why did they do Macbeth? I think they thought it was like an appropriately Scottish story, admittedly told by an English author, which is something that I love to bring up again here. And I mean, the funny thing is, Elixir Distillers is an independent bottler, but Macbeth was originally from Elgin. So would it not have been perhaps more appropriate for another independent bottler to have tackled this particular subject matter? Or maybe they could do their own range as a retort to the English slander of good King Macbeth. But part of the reason for it that they selected this is they would allow them to release a range of 42 whiskeys over roughly 5 years with a finite number. And they could also take a different approach to it, which was to kind of select whiskeys based on the characters they were trying to represent. So the people behind it, Alexis Livingston Burgess, these are some of the design and packaging of bottles that he's been responsible for. Dave Broom, who is the whiskey writer and author, and wrote the tasting notes for each of these whiskeys, and in fact selected the casks to represent each character as well. There were some of his books. And Quentin Blake, the illustrator, who initially said no, and then drew all the labels one night after he had not told them that he'd accepted the job. I suppose as one does if you're an artist. And I was commenting with the guys before we got started here. He kind of looks like one of his own characters a little bit. He's kind of got that sort of vaguely bird-like appearance to him. So maybe he has a great affinity for birds. And that's why he chose to represent them as such. Born in 1932, so he's been with us for quite a while. Then Sukhinder Singh and Oliver Chilton from Elixir Distillers are also behind this project. Shall we get to the first whiskey and give her a taste? So this is based on the character Lennox. It's a 27-year-old Glentauchers. Evan, Harmony, I don't know if you guys have already got your nose around this one, but I'm going to put the slide up here in a sec.
Yeah, the nose is really nice. It's got these like really nice baked apple notes for me. A little bit of apple crumble.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of wine gums in there too.
So there's the Glentauchers 27-year-old, 48%. What do they say about here? They say Lennox is described as a young man, and we wanted a distillate-led whiskey where the good humor of his character could spring out of the glass. And I think they kind of nailed it on that. This is fresh, fruity, nice white fruits, orchard tones, a little bit of like baked apple pie, maybe like the store-bought kind, the kind you get at Safeway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those fruit notes are just all over the place on this. Sean says pears poached and sauternes on the nose. That's a good call. Even has just a hint of that sort of like really ripe, sort of syrupy lemon note coming in through there.
Harmony, any comments for you?
No, you guys are nailing it. It also has this like really, it's like honey, not quite approaching waxiness, but then there's also something that like it's kind of oat driven and kind of reminds me of like a sweet oatmeal or a porridge of some sort. But yeah, poached pears all day. I was also thinking like a white nectarine note for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, honey
The
and oatmeal are good calls.
I think especially on the palate, it really does go towards those waxy tones, like the floral, waxy,
Mhm.
slightly nutty, very fruity, some nice baked pastry, kind of doughy crust like.
Yeah,
Um,
Shortbread as well.
mhm,
it's quite good. Very good.
mhm.
Yeah, that's a kind of a 27-year-old whiskey that's going into dangerously crushable style wise.
Absolutely. But I personally feel like Glentauchers and bourbon at this age is just
Oh yeah,
perfect. Perfect pairing.
Well, I'll pop this
agreed.
one up on screen on our website, which I think maybe gives you a better idea of the color and the artwork, just because the background's a little cleaner. But 649.99. It's got a good whiskey base score. Admittedly, we haven't looked at that in a while, so it might have changed. But Dave Broom's note about this: in these dark times, amidst the rage and fury, a gentle touch is needed. A look to the future and the time when wounds will need to be healed. Apply the balm, the floral absolute. Find the accords, accept the sting, a garland to save the hurt or to solve the hurt. Sorry. Um, so there you go. That's Act One, Bottle One from our perspective, because we're not doing them in the order of the play, we're doing them in the order of tasting, which of course makes sense. But I think this is a great example of Glentauchers, especially like, mid-20s Glentauchers, refill cask. It's fresh, fruity, nice little waxiness. It still retained that nice, delicate floral character. And it's just very pretty.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like that. Kind of assuming that's not cast strength, the 48%, but I like it at that strength. I think it shows really well.
Yeah. Um, it's a good point, Evan. I don't know. Um, they've not really given us any indication of that, but I suppose it could be on the bottle. It might be on the back of the bottle if it is cast strength, but not seeing that right now. Shall we move on to the Clynelish?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Just as soon as I find it here. There we go. It's a servant, wouldn't you know? So pop this up for everyone. All right. The servant is one of 10 uh, characterful whiskeys in the household series. Um, Clynelish is one of our most, this is from Oliver Chilton, one of our most sought after and revered malts, loved for its unique waxy character. For a blender, however, it can be the foundation to build a blend, allowing other malts to shine. Fully matured and ex-Bourbon, uh, wears its responsibilities for service well. The butterscotch sweetness and candle wax texture supported by ground ginger and toasted vanilla. So we'll see what we think diving in on this, but 55.1%, 14 years of age, from first fill bourbon. And I mean, I think the first comment I would make is that it's not overly kind of oaky for first fill bourbon. And it's all not
No,
also not the color is not overly crisp. So this was first fill bourbon, but not an aggressive cask.
yeah, it's pretty. It's got the waxiness there, not like incredibly overt, but it's got a ton of vanilla notes in there, and a little bit of lychee, and then some of the lighter orchard fruits, like a lighter version of what we were getting on the Glentauchers for me.
Lighter, but at the same time, the honey note seems to be much more prominent on the
Yeah,
nose.
yeah.
Kind of very like sort of rose petal floral notes.
I would agree. It's a lot more floral than I was anticipating, but very lovely on the nose.
And the honey seems more like honeycomb, like it's that thick, little slightly waxy profile as well.
There's a spiritedness to it, like where it's got just a little bit of new make still hanging around in there on the nose for me as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's pretty
Oh.
classic Clynelish on the palate. Quite
Hmm.
waxy, some nice honey tones. That floral rose petal note is still there. Nice and mouth coating. I mean,
But I would
the
agree with Tom Rand's note, like you get something like a shoe polish or
mhm.
a nail polish remover. And I definitely am getting that on the back end, like more of
Well, I
that
was gonna say
polish
like
note.
paraffin wax. Like if you remember, do you remember those like the chewy Chips Ahoy cookies? And you always wondered like, how could they be so chewy after so long and never lose? It's because I think they're loaded with like paraffin wax. And then that wax kind of coats your palate. It's sort of a good analogy, although this is more disgusting, is like if you have a corn dog at the Stampede, like the way those oils linger on your palate for hours after you've eaten it. Those cookies had that same effect. They would leave you that paraffin wax, although it was not quite as gross as the corn dog wax.
Creamy peanut butter is the same way.
Which peanut butter?
Creamy. Like
Creamy?
anytime you get the Kraft creamy peanut butter. I think that's why my son who has a peanut allergy can eat that specific peanut butter, because there's not a lot of peanuts. It's mostly wax.
Mm. I mean, I guess that also kind of counters the snarky comment I was going to make, but like, who honestly buys a peanut butter that's not chunky? I
That's
mean,
right. Well,
what's the
now
point?
you know.
Who doesn't want the chunks?
Yeah. It's the peanut allergy minority is propping up Kraft as we talk.
Mm. Mhm. Well, Evan, I think as we've all learned in recent years, you have to microdose. You got to
Yeah.
microdose that peanut butter to get them away from that allergy.
Well, they say it's lowering in kids. It's becoming more
Mhm.
more rare.
Yeah, but still
Yeah.
dangerous. But maybe talk to your doctor. The Clynelish is, I mean, it's nice. It's, I think what I expected it to be. It's a great example of it. Maybe because it's 14 years old and it's not overly exciting, but it's also not in any way bad or disappointing. It's just kind of what I expected 14-year-old Clynelish to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Harmony.
No, I was just gonna say that it's spicy, and the alcohol, you can definitely feel that it's at that 55 range. But because of its youth, it comes off a little sharp.
Mhm.
But I think it shows its Clynelish self very well. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's warm. I don't know if I find it sharp, but it's definitely got some warmth to it.
Mhm.
But yeah, there it is one more time. And what did Dave Broom have to say about this? He said, the night's torch has been snuffed out, wax gathering on the holder, a new dawn, dreams of happier times, a fresh breeze, heavy with hot gorse leans in at the window, a moment of bliss and the madness. Then the voice calls out, the reverie shattered, it's not yet over. So poetic, and I suppose if you knew the plays back and forth, as I'm sure we all do, I'm sure we all read through Macbeth last night just to be ready for today's tasting, and didn't get an AI summary of it moments before we started.
Yeah, you can tell Dave Broom's in his element on this, where he just gets to like wax lyrical about
Well, I mean, look,
his favorite play.
Shakespeare's great. I think we can all agree that. But
Yep.
These are terrible tasting notes, though, if I must say.
it's not a
Beautiful
tasting note.
poetry.
Yeah.
It's flowery. I think we could say
It's meant to be an amuse-bouche for the whiskey itself.
amuse bouche. Yeah.
Yeah, wax lyrically. It was a Clynelish.
Oh yeah, that was a dad joke that I never even noticed.
Yeah. Well done. Well played, Harmony. All right. That was fun. We're gonna move on to the oldest whiskey in the range next. Because it's just, it's
Why
Buna,
not?
it's delicate. We want it to show its best. So the next one up, I'm going to put this up on screen. We've got Lord Macduff, 45-year-old Bunnahabhain. On occasion, as Oliver says, a distillery can capture a particular time and place through the flavors of its spirit. Throughout the 60s and 70s, Bunnahabhain stood separate from both the mainland and its Isla kin, creating flavors of orchard fruit and barley sugar, maritime but without smoke. As with our character, any lightness has been weathered by the experience and solitude, while the notes of baked apples, toffee, tarragon allow this malt to grow and become the true hero in our story. So interesting.
It's a good nose.
Interesting that he called him a hero, which I think is maybe a bit of pro-Scottish propaganda creeping out in this. But man, the nose on this is great.
Yeah.
This is very reminiscent of the Port Askeig 45-year-old, but I think maybe just even a touch brighter.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's got a touch more richness, and the salty cedar notes are sort of like stepped back, at least on the nose.
Yeah, and it's got some nice chocolate tones in there. Like, I don't know if you remember back in the day when cappuccinos were nouveau. I remember when, as a small kid and maybe 12 or 13, my parents would go and get a cappuccino and they would always put chocolate shavings on top of it, the way that they continued to do in Scotland until quite recently, and probably still do in some places. But it reminds me of that like shaved chocolate that they would put on top of a cappuccino, like a foamy cappuccino.
Yeah, that's a good call. Like a little bit of almond paste in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
It
Reminds
reminds
me
me
of
of
the
those,
almond
what are those?
croissants.
Oh, nice. I was gonna say those like chocolate wafer cracker cookie things that
Yeah.
you get really
Mm-hmm.
cheap.
There's a bit of mincemeat in there. There's a bit of like classic Christmas cake, very soft though. It's also got, and I think a lot of these old Bunas sometimes have this, especially if they're from sherry. It's got that like delicate old Armagnac, leather sofa, like cigar lounge kind of vibe to it, where you get the tobacco, you get the Armagnac, you get the leather, but from that Armagnac, you've also got these nice fruit tones creeping out, these nice bright tropical fruits.
Yeah, it's got even like a touch of heatheriness that you get in like older Highland Parks for me as
Mhm.
well.
What do we think of the palate?
The first sip, I think the nose is where it's at. I think the palate's just maybe a little bit light. Um, you can tell it's at 40.8%.
Mhm.
There's still a lot going on in there, but it's definitely coming off as a bit watery as well for me. Probably because
Oh
of
man.
the alcohol level versus the rest.
To
Yeah,
me,
it's.
it's sorry, go ahead, Hermie.
I was just gonna say it's definitely showing its age.
Mm.
It's got lots of those tannins and leather notes, even like of the tobacco cigar notes you reference. It still goes like a touch ashy on the back end.
Mhm.
But there is still something on the front though. Like it's not all
Mhm.
oak and leather.
To me, I mean, this is like very typical of these like 40 something, like late 60s, early 70s Bunnahabhains that Elixir's been bottling. It's got those nice, soft, old school sherry tones, the leather chocolate tobacco that I mentioned, but it's also got these nice underlying, very tropical fruit tones. It's got a little bit of a syrupiness to it too. And I can see what you mean. It is a bit understated, but I mean, I think this is a whiskey that, and it'll never happen because it's outside the price range where I could justify doing this. This is the kind of whiskey that I could sit in a comfy armchair to have a conversation with someone and just keep sipping the same thing for hours because it's very, very drinkable.
Yeah.
I guess you just have to
I
find the right guy or gal to have that long conversation with where it's okay to drink a bottle like this over a
at
conversation.
first when you said that, Harmony, there was like a slight hiccup in the audio, and I thought you said a different word than find, but it
Sorry.
starts with the same letter. But it was not.
I
There
mean,
was
if you're
this
gonna go
just
there,
slight, and I was
spend
just like,
money on a
whoa.
good bottle.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, we're going like double guns blazing tonight. But no, that was
No, no.
an audio hiccup, of course. The nose, I agree. I think the nose is probably better than the palate. But one of the things with these older whiskeys when they get this old, it's that's not uncommon to find that the palate maybe is a bit more muted. Like, that time in the cask, maybe the oak has kind of overlain it a little bit, and the nose is really the highlight. But I have to say I love both. I mean, uh, this does remind me of like really ancient spirits, like just on the nose. It reminds me of opening like old bottles of cognac from Tersigny or one of the cognac sponge. It reminds me of like balanced old Armagnac and just old. It's antique. Like this is such
Yeah,
a pleasure to get to nose and try these things because there's not a lot like this that we get to have these days.
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
true.
I think it said this was a 1975 vintage
Wow.
somewhere. So they must have had this in demijohns for a
No,
while
it's
or
got to be, Evan, it's got to be older than that. It's got to be
yeah.
at least 1970, probably more like 68, 69. And the reason for that is it's 45 years old. So
Mhm.
45 years means that we're going back to at least 1970. And given that they probably bottled this last
Oh,
year,
that'd be
we're talking
2015 then.
60, we're talking 68 or 69. Aren't we? You're thinking 75?
Yeah.
My math that far off? 45?
Yeah.
Does someone,
75.
what's that?
I'm with
Where's
I'm with
chat,
Evan on this. I mean,
where's chat GPT on this thing or chat
Yeah.
GPT?
I don't know.
20? Oh, maybe you're right. It could be
Yeah. Yeah.
minus
1975
45.
plus
Could be
45,
1980.
2020. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right, I stand corrected. I mean, unless this is something they've had bottled forever that they've just been waiting to figure out what to do with. But I mean, probably more likely that I doubt this is 75 because when was it bottled? Like it was probably bottled late last
That's why I
year.
think they might have had it in glass beforehand, either in
Yeah, yeah,
bottles
yeah. So
or
it's
demijohns. Yeah.
75. Interesting. Okay. Well, whatever vintage it's from, it's glorious. But I don't think they've ever really
Mhm.
come out and disclosed that. Or is it on like Whisky somewhere mentioning that it's from?
Yeah, because we had that in our I think we had that vintage. I must have found it somewhere. Maybe it was on Whiskey Base because I have it on our website.
Hmm. Okay. Well, there you go. Also, that makes me feel older than I wanted to, realizing that 45 years ago was 1980, and I was alive at that time.
I was not.
I mean, on the flip side, technically this whiskey was distilled before you were born. So
Well, it'd have to be, oh, if it was 75, you're right.
yeah.
It is technically older
Yeah.
than I am from a birth standpoint. All right. Confusion aside, I don't know if anyone else has any comments on that, but I think I think it's a great whiskey. I think the challenge is, as good as it is, it's a bit of a cheeky thing for me to say, but kind of hard to justify buying this when you could get 7 Walter's Choice for the same price.
Oh,
Yeah. But if you have $3,500 burning a hole in your pocket, I think it's a great bottle. And the box is pretty cool too. I don't know, did I put our page up for this one yet? I think I did for the
it
others.
has a nice box. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
And I
little
mean,
slidey doors. Oh, I know most
yeah.
people buy whiskey for the
Well, it's like a
boxes,
stage.
so
It's like a stage
this
with a
is it.
screen and it can reveal the character. But yeah, it's a pretty cool, it's a pretty cool bottle. And there's only one. I think 3 of these came into either 2 or 3. No, it was just 2. Just 2 of these came into Alberta. We have one for sale, and we're all drinking one.
Yeah.
So huzzah
Well,
for
and there were
that.
only 100 bottles of it to start.
Yeah. So huzzah. Shall we on to the next one, which is
Mhm.
Highland Park? And
This
if I don't
nose
recall,
is great.
is it declared Highland Park or is it?
Yep.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, here I've got it. Distilled at Highland Park Distillery. Young Siward. Um, Let me put that up and then I'll squint at the screen to read the description in KWM bingo fashion. While his father was a warrior, young Seward was only just old enough to go to war, and so we needed a whiskey with all the promise of a young man, full of potential. The typical heather, smoke, and honey of Highland Park is on show in this elegant whiskey, but without the robust sherry notes so often associated with its age. Instead, honeysuckle and ginger spice suggest youth and promise. 50.8%. I think that's the nicest description lead in of any of the ones Ollie's done so far in tonight's tasting. I liked that. And it was somehow less meandering and evasive than some of Dave Broom's descriptions. Refill ex-Bourbon Highland Park. That's pretty cool. We don't see a ton of that. And we've had some great bourbon cask and refill cask Highland Park from independent bottlers over the years. So let's dive in with this one and see what we think.
It's got this really neat, like green tea meets peppermint tea note for me right now off a hop.
Mm. It does have a nice tea, but Evan, what kind of tea? If Jeff
Well,
were here, he would want to know.
yeah. I said green. Come on. What do you want from me?
Not oolong? You're not going to go to oolong
Yeah.
territory? And if so, what kind of oolong?
Yeah. I, I drank a ton of the tea that he gave me, but I still can't differentiate enough.
It's got those nice Highland Park honey tones that you often get. It's got this nice little bit of oiliness. The peat on the nose, at least, is very faint. It's like this faint whiff of smoke, little touch of chocolate in there too. Bright citrus. So I'm getting like candied lemon, bit of orange, like orange rind.
Getting like
So this is
day
sorry,
old
go ahead.
like ginger beef that's like cold in the fridge.
Nice.
Mm,
That's actually a really good note.
I had some of that for
Um,
dinner.
this is ex-bourbon,
Technically
if I remember
two,
correctly.
technically 2 day old ginger beef, but who's
Mm.
counting? The palate, the smoke on the palate's interesting. The smoke is almost more reminiscent of Ardmore than Highland Park to me on the palate.
It's still pretty heathery and floral.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, this is a fun one.
But
Again, I'm quite like that strength.
it's got that like almost hickory kind of note to it in the smoke. Quite honeyed, a little doughy, some nice buttery oils. The peat's that kind of faded, soft, oily peat, which is quite nice too. This is a
Mhm.
lovely Highland Park.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of got like the bones of what you get on the 18, on the standard 18, but without the sherry drapings.
I call those that goopy sherry, which
Mhm.
is I think what they sort of lather on top of the distillery 18. I really like that. I think that's a nice level of smoke. I mean, that's a level of smoke that I
Yeah.
think someone who even doesn't like any smoke or peat could probably handle. It's very clean. It is becoming more heathery and floral, but there's just that faint touch of like hickory in there as well. And to me, this is what Highland Park is that like just bags of honey and clean smoke and a little bit of salt as well too, just a maritime touch in there.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's nice.
Paige, the tingles that you're getting is probably salt sensors, especially if you're getting it like the sides of your tongue. I think the sides of your tongue is where you tend to pick up salt more than other places. At least I remember somebody saying that at one point in time, and I've repeated it as if it was the truth. And so we'll just go with that. Well, that's kind of how it
Yeah,
goes.
I love it. It's just like I think I remember
And
saying hearing that, so we're gonna go with that.
we're just going to go with it. And we're going to say it with confidence, and therefore it is true.
Chetford PT.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is nice. It has a lot of coastal vibes to it for me, like a nice, like slightly like shrimp and oyster notes as well, but you still get this nice floral and sweet fruit on the palate. But on the nose, to me, it's like
That shrimp, the
prawns.
shrimp, the shrimp note's a good one, Harmony. It reminds me of the one and only time I ever made a bouillabaisse, which was in a cooking class. And Jen and I went and did it, and it was great. We learned how you can make a bouillabaisse with like shrimp shells, and then we've never done it since. But it has that memory, like it triggered the memory of that. Like once you've boiled it down and added all the other ingredients, like you do get that kind of I don't know,
Like,
earthy shrimp note to it. Like it's not
yeah,
like when you eat actual shrimp, but it's a good call.
cool.
Speaking of things that'll kill children with allergies.
Shrimp, like
Yeah,
bouillabaisse kills children.
yeah.
Cooking classes.
If you made it like that, I think it would. That's for
Well,
sure.
cooking classes would
Yeah.
definitely kill most children. I mean, there's
Mhm.
the odd precocious child that loves to do that.
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay.
that's an awesome dram.
Uh, next up, we've got the Ben Nevis. Let me pull this up on, here we go, Ross. Where? Okay. So what did Ollie say about Ross? Ben Nevis has become such an iconic malt amongst enthusiasts as it balances the weight and body of malts lost in time alongside bursts of fruit. The somewhat stubborn but wonderful insistence on the use of brewer's yeast in fermentation and a generally slower approach to spirits production is on full show in this 28-year-old as the fat fruit delivers driven distillate has been allowed to shine in refill hogsheads. Like Ross, it shows enough maturity to always finish on the right side. Oof. A little bit of a dig there at the hero we just tasted a moment ago. Refill hoggies, 50.4%. Someone help me with the math here. Could this potentially be from 96? Or are we talking something different? Because clearly I've lost track of time. Yeah,
My guess
actually,
is it's not a
I
96.
think
It could be,
it
but
could be a 96 though. Think about it.
yeah.
If it was bottled in
Yeah.
2024,
it could be.
Mhm.
take 28 years off of that, and that takes you to 1996.
I
This
would
nose is
say
great.
that it
Sean
probably
says
has.
he'd bet on it. All
Really?
right, so I feel like that slightly redeemed my math from earlier tonight.
Mhm.
He says, hopefully. It's kind of nutty.
This reminds me of Chinese food.
Yeah. It's got this like MSG like soup stock thing going on.
But it's
Yeah,
also got the sweet gelatinous, like sweet and sour sauce, or
yep,
Yeah.
that sticky, syrupy ginger beef or plum sauce. Like it's got this kind of gooey, like
yeah,
concentrated fruit with sugar note to
yeah,
it.
totally.
Plum sauce. Oh, it does have that plum sauce note on the palate
Mm.
and a little bit of
And
nuttiness.
there's a little spice there too, Harmony. I think your Chinese food, maybe you're just craving it, but like
Hmm.
it's got
I'm hungry.
yeah. What's that?
I said I'm now ordering.
Yeah.
Well, it's got a little bit of that like salt and pepper squid where sometimes they put a bit of Szechuan on it too.
Totally.
Like
Mhm.
the more I leave my nose in there, I haven't even gone to the palate yet, but I'm getting
Oh,
like a little bit of a Szechuan spice thing on the nose too.
Yeah, even a little bit of like just your bog standard like Manchu wok sweet and sour pork notes.
yeah. The
Oh,
palate is a lot juicier than I thought it was going to be.
that's a good Ben Nevis.
That's
Hmm.
fantastic. Sean
Yeah.
said like peach notes, and
Mhm.
I'm with him on that.
Plum sauce. Yeah, juicy
Yeah.
peach,
Yeah.
oil polish. Yeah, it's kind of gooey, nutty. The maltiness is still there even after so long. But yeah, it's really kind of, sweet sauces, sweet
Yeah.
gelatinous sauces on
That's
the palate.
they started with real fruit, but just added like copious amounts of sugar to it
Mhm.
to make it syrupy.
The Szechuan peppercorns.
Nice.
Good to know. Um, and yeah, I always find that salt and pepper squid has an interesting kind of oil. Like it's not like your typical fryer oil that they use on those. Combination between the squid, the oil, the batter, and that spice. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, that's it. That is just full stop. That's a great Ben Nevis. We were talking about this, I think, in a tasting last week, where it can be quite hit or miss. And we had a really good run of great Ben Nevi, which as we know is the plural for Ben Nevis. But then we've had some kind of less than great Ben Nevis creep in over the last few years. And I think people got carried away with it and thought, oh, like Ben Nevis, so hot right now, jack the price up. So they did. And then, you bring some of these in and try them, and they're like, it's 96 Ben Nevis, as though somehow like that's a guarantee that it's going to be a banger. And there were a lot of bangers, to be fair. But then there's been a couple of real duds that come through. And I think we were doing them in what was a tasting? We had a Ben Nevis last week, right? It was the Whiskey Land tasting. And I think we decided that it was like bad fermentation. Like it was fermentation, maybe left too long, possibly got infected, and just spoiled. I mean, it's the only real way to, I think, explain it, because it was a bourbon cask Ben Nevis. So we can't blame the wine. We can't blame, a dirty cask. It just was the only explanation around there. But it's really nice to see when you come back and you get another banger like this, because this is beautiful. Yeah, and I mean, per Doug's comments in the chat, like I think it shows you that sometimes even sources we trust, and I suppose I would include myself in that for you, is sometimes there's things that we like that maybe aren't as great as we think they are. And that includes people that we hold in high regard, because if he gave that a 91, I mean, that was definitely not a more than 85, 84 whiskey, in my opinion, but that's a whole other story. I love the nose on this. I love the palate. I love how syrupy it is.
I think you need those. I mean, it's not necessarily the greatest feeling when you purchase one, but you need like to have those like one-offs or two-offs where there's a whole lot of fantastic ones from one single vintage, and then there's the ones that come in that just aren't as great, but they make those other ones just that much greater. Uh,
Well, I
if
think it's a
it was
good
just great all the
example
time, we
of,
just wouldn't care.
yeah. Well, I think it's a good example, going back to that bottler, which was of course Decadent Drinks. Like I've not had a lot of bad bottles from them. I'd say
Mhm.
that their quality level is consistently quite high. Same thing with Gordon MacPhail. Like I'd say that, I don't always love each of their whiskeys, but I think the quality level is, uncommonly high. There's companies that have very, very high standards, but I think it shows you that that's always the risk with independent bottlings, because they're usually single cask or very small batch. You can get a bad release. It's not like, and I think maybe, taking it out more broadly to the industry as a whole, that's one of the things that's, I suppose, in the favor of the big distillers and the bottles they put out, which are, to maybe some of us, a little boring, but they very rarely put out something that's truly offensive. And there's a reason for that. They need to maintain their brand. They're trying to achieve consistency over time. And I think that the joy of single casks is that when they're great, when they're really good, they're so much better than
Yeah.
any distillery release marriage bottling, because it's just one or two exceptional casks married together. But there's some duds out there too. And I suppose if you have a 96 Ben Nevis that people are going to buy, I suppose you're going to sell it even if it isn't great, because it's 96 Ben Nevis and people are probably going to buy it anyway. And
Mhm.
whether that's a good thing or not, maybe for your brand, but anyway,
Oh.
the
Well,
point is this one is great.
it is great. But
Yeah.
then if 96 Ben Nevis is known for being like so spectacular, why don't more people put that on the bottle like more obviously?
Mhm.
I think it's still at that sort of geek level, more than anything else.
Why didn't they put 96 on this if that's what it is? Is that what you're asking, Harmony?
Yeah, like why not like hint to it a little bit more directly, I suppose, if it's so
I
good.
think because that's not what they were trying to do this time. Like
You just
like
got
most of the
lucky.
whiskeys in this range, at least officially, they haven't come out and said what vintage they are. They've
Yeah.
just put age statements on them.
Hmm.
And I think part of that is they were trying to make this more about the spirit tying into individual characters, as opposed to trying to sell this as being, you know, from X year. And it's this particular cask number. I think it was a different approach that they consciously took
Yeah.
with this. So what did Dave Broom say about this one? Let's see. So there's the bottle again. This one's got 90 points, or at least it did, from Whiskey Fun. Interesting that this got a 90 and that Whiskey Sponge release had a 91, because there should be a much bigger divide between the two of them on the score front. Dave said, the trappings of elegance are draped around this substantial frame. There is heft here, the impression of greatness, but those muscles are now larded with mutton fat. The belly's soft. I feel like they're describing me somehow. A social creature enveloping you in a warm embrace, but there's a sidelong glance as the opportunities are reckoned by this sleek-it player, always picking the right side. Anyway, Ben Nevis, everyone. What have we got next? We've got Benrinnes. I mean, I think we can expect there's probably going to be a Benrinnes in every release. He says cheekily. We've seen them in two. They seem to have quite a bit of Benrinnes at Elixir Distillers. So this one is a soldier, and I'll get it up on the screen. Share. Ollie said, ever visible as you travel around Speyside is Benrinnes. At its base, on the north side of the mountain, is the workhorse distillery of the same name. The spirit produced there using traditional worm tub condensers is sturdy and full. For the soldier, this powerful spirit has been matured in refill sherry butts, accentuating the meaty, weighty character of the make and adding layers of currants and dried oregano. Refill sherry butts, 53.5%. Doug is already weighed in on that I'm going to slam this. We'll see. It's got a bit of like an irony, bloody note. There's Harmony, you're muted.
I was waiting for that note. And I was saying also Sean's already hinting that this is Kurt's favorite distillery. Too bad he's not here.
There's quite a raisin note to this. Like it's opening a box of sun-dried raisins on the nose.
This is like opening a fresh pack of cigarettes.
It's quite malty. This is a compliment in its own way. It's not as offensive as I thought it could be for a 12-year-old Benrinnes.
There's an underlying note of like old kind of stale peanuts on there.
Yeah.
It is very
Or beer
nutty.
nuts even. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely more beer nuts, like candied beer nuts and stale lager.
It's probably what the set from Cheers smelled like.
You know, the palate's actually not bad. I think it's sherry cask. It's clean sherry, obviously, because it's refill. I think that helps to mask that farmy note that I often get in Benrinnes that I find quite unpleasant at times. I think what happens is a lot of those casks are just so meaty, and it takes time for that to mellow and become more interesting and more less offensive on the palate. But this one seems to work well. It's very raisiny. It reminds me of like butter tarts and pecan pie.
It definitely has that worm tubby meatiness on the palate come through. But it is kept in check. Like we've had some much funkier Benrinnes, and there's definitely some much funkier ones around.
Well, hold on, it's getting funkier and funkier as we go. And it's got a little bit of that like metal fork note as well too. Like there's something metallic in there, which is probably that blood note from the nose.
Well, I like that one actually. I get what you're saying with the metallic. It does have a bit of funkiness, but I still feel it's, at least at this point, kept in check.
This is a decent This is a decent Benrinnes.
It tastes like licking a hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think if this was a classroom, we would rate this most improved. Like, it was the kid you did not
Yeah.
expect to get a C on the paper, and you're like, good for you. I was thinking I
Yeah.
was gonna flunk you, but you got a C.
It got
Like,
the
I'm proud of you.
75% attendance. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Record.
proud of you. Oh, yeah, quite malty. There is like a, I don't know, a burlap sack funkiness on the finish. It is a little rough, but it's very drinkable. Um, it is rather soldierly, especially if you're talking like 1,000 years ago. But any other thoughts on the Benrinnes?
Sam Sahiri says the Blair Athol in Act One was a bit metallic irony, bloody too, kind of similar. That one was more like this one's like honeyed in a way, and more
Yeah.
toffee and butterscotch. That one was a bit more not razor blades, but it was a bit sharper from what I recall. But I quite like that one as well.
Well, and that one definitely had that like fresh blood kind of note to it. This is more just
Hmm.
iron. There's like an
Yeah.
iron note that runs through it. I mean, it continues well into the finish, and I think in both cases, those are probably pretty good descriptors of soldiers. They've got steel,
Hmm.
presumably blood splashing around. Um, but yeah, pretty good.
Hmm.
Certainly, well, I'll tell you this, I like it better than I liked that Ben Nevis from last week's tasting. So I would rate this more highly than I would rate that Ben Nevis, which I think is quite a compliment. Shall we move on to the Jura?
Please.
Yeah.
The
Yes,
Jura,
please.
although I believe this is more of like a secret Highland.
Right. This spilled in my backpack.
Oh,
Oh no.
Smelled amazing when I
your
opened it
backpack is
up.
going to smell really good. Yeah.
It was like burnt raisins is all I could think about when I opened up my bag, but we shall try what's left.
All right.
So with this, while Andrew's bringing the stuff up, Sean is a big fan of this one. He ended up getting Kurt to get a bottle, and then I got a chance to try it, and it's fantastic.
I
Well,
love
I
that.
believe, well, Douglas is flashing his bottle on screen there, because he got it and then bought a second, I believe, because he thought it was
I
so
think the
good.
second one was an accident, but
Show and
Yeah.
tell.
keeping it.
Show and tell. All
I
right. What
made
did
a joke
Ollie?
on her. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Well, what tell continue. What was the joke?
Oh,
I like Joe.
a joke about the first murder was so good that there's no way this would hold up to it because the first murder was Laphroaig, but I begrudgingly I think this is even better.
All
The
right.
murders are so good this round.
Well, I mean, they're they're bold statements within the play, so you'd expect that they should have a bold profile. Ollie said, for some years now, this distillery on the Isle of Jura has been producing peated malt, and this richly smoky character has been tempered in Oloroso sherry hogsheads, complementing the oily spirit with sandalwood and an Amaro-style herbaceousness. I like the sound of that. The peat smoke itself is linear and cutting, while the cast profile has created a backdrop for a second murderous whiskey, 48.5%. So diving in on oh man, the nose on this is great.
Mm.
That's like bonfire embers
Mhm.
on the beach.
Sean might remember this, although this might even predate him, but like there was a time way back when they first rolled out Prophecy from Jura that it was
Hmm.
exclusive to our shop. And those early bottlings of Prophecy, which is a peated, I believe Prophecy was the lightly peated. It wasn't the most heavily peated of the Juras. Um, Apparently had some older spirit in them and they were great. But yeah, there's a
There's some
nice
big
mix of smoke and fruit on here and
yeah,
cheese.
tobacco leaf and like just a touch of hickory.
Yeah, lots of sandalwood. It's like, when you're in your 20s and the best furniture you can afford is from IKEA and you get those chairs, those sandalwood varnished chairs.
I was shopping at Value Village in my 20s, and nothing from Value Village smells like this.
Well, you presumably you could get an old IKEA chair at Value Village,
Maybe if the
and
staff
they're
will
well
take it.
made. They hold up.
They do.
So, the nose on this is good, but I don't think it holds a candle to the palate. The palate is just so lush, clean smoke. It's oily, waxy, buttery, nice soft fruit tones, and cheese. Like it's like a going for a wine and cheese social at our neighbor Peasant.
Very coastal, like you said, Evan, that bonfire on a beach note.
It's like drying, but there's like underlying fruit notes to it.
But I wouldn't really describe this as
Kilogram.
peated.
Yeah.
I'm
Like,
not sure if Evan.
woody.
I just have to interject here, Harmony, Evan. I don't know if you got Sammy's reference there, but it was actually, I believe, to thrift shopping, the song, not so much what R. Kelly's actual sheets smelled like.
Hot. Just like no R. Kelly. No.
Yeah, there's very little that I touch when it comes to comments, but I'm not touching that one.
Yeah.
If only he had taken
Well,
that advice too.
at one point, South Park suggested he was locked in the closet. Maybe he should have just
That
stayed
was
in there.
a funny episode. But yeah,
Um,
very woody to me more than like peaty. Very interesting. Cool.
This and
It's
the Highland Park definitely have like there's a weird similarity to them, but there's a density that just sticks around on the palate that the Highland Park doesn't have.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is quite as pretty, but there's a lot going on here. I think the smoke and the sherry are masking some of those off. I mean, by off notes, like the distillate, kind of in the way
Jura-ness of
mezcal
it.
does. Well, yeah, Jura, and I think it's because the stills are so big and they're so wide. There's not enough opportunity for copper contact. And I think you get this spirit that has more volatile acids in it. It's almost more mezcal-like. And if you're a Scotch drinker, that's not really what you're looking for. And yeah, as Doug's saying, they also run the stills hot. So the liquid's getting pumped through there fast. It's not getting that much time. And what's interesting is that this is kind of like, I can still get those volatile acid notes in this whiskey. I think it adds a nice layer to it with the sherry and the peat to kind of muffle it a little bit. It adds more character, but I think this also shows that just Jura is a wild distillate, and it's a wild distillate because it's made in these massive stills, low copper contact, run through quickly. But there are some fun notes in there, and Jura can be beautiful after time. Like it often takes like 20, 30 years. And some of those rougher edges start to burn off. Doug says even more. But yeah, I think this is a great balling, and I can see why you guys were excited about this because for a 14-year-old Jura, this is kind of fun. In Jura's defense, and just in case the brand ambassador for Canada is listening, we actually have a Jura exclusive coming from the distillery in January that we were actually really impressed with. So, I mean, there are good ballings that come out of that distillery, but they can be very inconsistent. And there is some stuff that's just not tremendous. But I mean, how much of that do we blame on Jura and how much of it do we blame on the Patterson effect?
I think Patterson and marketing, pardon me, as much as anything else, the fact that they can't go 5 years without reinventing the brand is one of their biggest issues, in my opinion.
Well, it's probably never met their expectations. Like they thought it would do better. But anyway, Doug's, what kind of reality do we live in when Andrew is defending Jura and continuing to shit on Benrinnes? I mean,
I mean, I
I've
think you could poop on both equally, and I would be in
no,
support.
I'd chip more on Benrinnes and Othrusk. Jura, Jura, I will admit, Jura is not in the top 30 percentile of, which admittedly means the bottom. It is probably not one of my favorite distilleries, not even close.
Mhm.
It's a charming place though. If you ever get a chance to go to Craig House, it's a beautiful spot. If you get to spend the night there, it's even better. There's no light. You can walk the street, you can see the stars, you can drink in the pub, which is in the hotel. There used to be a decent restaurant that was down the street from the hotel. I don't know if it's still there anymore, but it's a fun place to go. And I've actually gone all the way up the island. I rode my mountain bike all the way to the top of the island, and I had a great adventure of it. I had four seasons in a day. I had 25 degrees and
Nice.
sunshine. I had rain. I had like snow pelting, like ice pelts coming down on me. It was a good time. Um, but yeah, Jura, I will admit, is not always the best, but there are some good Juras out there. So, all right, last whiskey. What have we got here? We've got the Isla. We've just gone and called it Laphroaig, but
That-
I believe it is undisclosed Isla
So
single
on
malt.
the, I'd mentioned, and for anybody curious, Livingstone has a YouTube page that I think was created only for these bottlings where Oliver Chilton, Sirkinder Singh, and Dave Broom, and I think the one of the Livingston guy actually they sit and they open each of these bottles in Act Two and then talk about the whiskey in the background, and they name this as Laphroaig in the YouTube video, and
Yeah,
it's the Livingstone guy that names it, and you can kind of see Oliver Chilton kind of look at him like, "What the hell are you doing, man?"
yeah,
Uh, but it's out there.
yeah, yeah. So it's the second witch. It hails from Isla's south coast and encapsulates all the medicinal quality with which this iconic malt is known for. I think that pretty much gives it away just on that one line. The marriage between charcoal smoke, rich vanilla, and brooding dark dried fruit speaks to the marriage of both bourbon and sherry casks and the wonderful darkness you can find from the long maturation of Isla's traditional medicine. Again, there's a lot of clues laid in there that I think you could figure out what it is. So Oloroso sherry butt and a first fill bourbon barrel, 49.5%. I mean, this possibly could have been something from the Port Ascag range. I mean, if you think about the timeline here, this could be that same stock of whiskey that was in the Port Ascag 19 roughly 5 years ago, just matured longer and some of it in sherry. Could be from the same parcel. All right. Thoughts on the flag? This is quite soft.
Yeah, there's like an underlying like touch of coal fire and a hint of the what I love about Laphroaig at this age is the lavender and Parma violets that come through, and I'm getting that.
This is very reminiscent of the Laphroaig 25-year-old cast strength bottlings from about a decade ago that came
Mhm.
in the like flimsy wooden boxes. Um, it's so much softer. The peat is like on the nose is so much more mellow. The medicinal tones are more mellow. I find a lot of the more modern Laphroaig 25 cast drinks have a sharper, rougher edge to them than the ones roughly 10 years ago were a bit softer, a bit more toned down. And yeah, this is elegant. I mean, it's Christmas cake meets creme brulee meets clean cigar smoke and like soft sea breeze.
It's a really good palette too. Just a touch of like greenwood in there as well. But yeah, gorgeous stuff.
Yeah, there's some nice barbecue tones in there, like a little bit of tropical fruit, clean smoke. It's ashy on the palate. I mean, you can tell that this was a brooding beast at one point in time, but it's really tamed and really settled down.
Yeah, this is killer. It's a touch of barnyard coming through there now too on the nose.
Yeah, it's to me right off the nose was like burnt cinnamon raisin toast cooked on like a beach fire. You get a little bit of that coastal fish, coastal seafood note.
I just
But
realized that we never, like Doug's comment reminded me, we never said what Dave Broom said about the Jura. A thin flame rises from damp wood, the smell of wet wool and sodden autumn's bracken, seed cake crumbs fleck the thin rag, a sharp profile cuminlet. I don't know that there can be no mercy. I don't really think that's a very good descriptor of the Jura. But I am tempted to see what he said about the Laphroaig. A dark narcotic boils, globs of pitch, a pine forest reduced, the cauldron erupts, splitting black lava, stir in the wormwood and camphor, trailing oak moss, and sphagnum soaked with soldier's blood. Now drink in this tarry opiate, this entry to I'm not sure what that word is, something world. There's a spelling error in there, but regardless, I mean, I think that's a bit better than the Jura descriptor, but I think this is tarry. It is a bit ashy. There, I can see where that irony bit of bloody note comes in here, but it's also quite bright and tropical at the same time.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of tropical notes coming through that the sherry just doesn't quite mask or cover.
No, the sherry's really well balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Reminds me a little bit of like a mix between like a fig bar, like the kind you get in a coffee shop, and eat more. Like you get that kind of peanutty, um, I don't know, molassesy sort of tone, mixed with like figs and oatmeal. Like there's some really nice notes in this. I quite like this Islay malt.
There's the link for the Livingstone Rare videos there if anybody wants it.
Harmony, any comments? No. Okay, speed round coming up. Before we get to the speed round, I just thought I would, clear the air a little bit about uh, Scottish history. There's Shakespeare's version of it. Macbeth has kind of been portrayed as a tyrant and a murderer who ruled by fear and driven by ambition. And I suppose, to be fair, what ruler who's been successful, especially in any time before the 20th century, didn't rule by fear to a certain extent? I think that's part of how the game was played. But the historical Macbeth, who ruled in the 11th century, seemed to be much more like capable, but also revered and accepted by his people. He ruled for 17 years, which was a fairly long reign at that time in history. And it was also secure enough for him to make a pilgrimage to Rome in 1050, which would have been very difficult if he'd been someone who'd, been ruling by fear and whose people required his threat of violence to keep him in power. Um, and he did depose Duncan. There was a battle. There was, peoples in the north and the south of Scotland who were at war with each other. Macbeth was a ruler of clans in the north, centered around what is now the city of Elgin, heart of the Speyside. And in 1040, they went to battle, and in the battle, Macbeth, who had aligned himself with the Earl of Orkney, defeated King Duncan and his men and became King of Scotland for the next 17 years. But that was just life back then. And there was no Campbell's betraying the MacDonalds sort of historic twist to it. There's no, treachery and murder. It was just medieval times and battle. And Macbeth ended up beating him. And interestingly, I believe he's buried on the Isle of Iona, which is just off the coast of the Isle of Mull. And interesting and fun fact for all of you, if you ever go there, it's a great place to visit. There is a Calgary Bay on the Isle of Mull, which is where the city of Calgary gets its name. It's a white sand beach with one kind of manor house nearby and just about nothing else. And the water is quite cold, but I do recommend you pay homage and have a dip when you go there. But if you go a little past that down to the southwest tip of the island, you can go to Iona, which is this little island. It's about a mile by 3 miles in length. And it has a distinction for being the home to the most burials of European monarchs of any place in Europe. And part of this is because it was a place for medieval pilgrimage. It was a Christian holy site. And so people from all over the British Isles, but I believe even Scandinavia, were buried there because of its connection to Christianity. And so even places like Paris and Rome, London, have fewer royal burials than the Isle of Iona, which is kind of cool. Are we ready for Jan's speed rounds?
Yep.
All right. So back to the Glentauchers. Still great.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one in general, I think, because they're all really interesting whiskeys.
That is probably, I mean, time will tell, but I think that is probably the most sessionable whiskey of everything in this lineup. It's the one where you could keep having glass after glass without it really exhausting your palate. But creamy, waxy, floral, fruity, nice little balance there. Harmony?
It's fantastic. I love, like, as Tom said, those Swedish berry notes. I don't know. It's doing all the right things for me. It's my favorite, I think, in the lineup.
Right. All right. Clynelish.
Very cool.
What do you think about the Clynelish?
Oh,
Very
that's
like toasty and biscuity now for me on the nose.
it's also getting some bubble gum tone,
It
some
is.
double bubble notes.
It is
Yeah.
very biscuity.
Yeah, bubble gum, a bit of pineapple, still like pretty vanilla driven.
It's thick, honeyed, like lots of like honeycomb. Um, and a little bit of like goat cheese too. Like it's got this honeycomb on blue cheese note, but like if it's a creamier kind of blue rather than a harder cheese.
Mhm.
In answer to Doug's question, he's like, how many monarchs are buried? I asked the internet, and the internet said roughly 60, 48 of them Scottish. So decent
Wow.
number.
Mm.
And it's not a big island. As I said, it's 1 mile wide and 3 miles long.
Why do they all get buried there?
You weren't listening a couple minutes ago, were you,
No, I
Harmony?
wasn't. Sorry.
It was in an effort to increase the landmass.
I was
Harmony,
seeing my
Harmony, in your
favorite.
defense, Harmony, in your defense, my wife pulls that card on me several times a day.
It's just something in the way you talk, Andrew. I just can't
No, no,
help
no,
but
no, no, to
myself.
me. She says, "What did I just tell you?" And then I'm like,
Oh yeah, I do that also with my partner. But no, I was really like objectively, what are my favorites? And I
Yeah.
went and like smelled all the noses and realigned my bottles, and I wasn't
I'm pretty
listening.
confident. I'm pretty confident on two of mine. It's just the rest that I need to sort out.
Yeah.
How about Lord Macduff, Bunnahabhain 45-year-old?
Its nose is still killer.
It's rather delicious. Old school style whiskey. I it's I have to say it though, it's no Walter's choice, as good as it is. So, and that's not just me saying that, that's
No, it is you. What's you?
no, but I mean I mean it. Like I'm not just saying that to say it, to
I'm
convince people to
teasing.
buy it, because people are buying it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Throws elixir distillers under the bus for elixir distillers.
yeah, yeah. I think they'd understand.
I mean, if we're shopping by labels, it's
Yeah.
a clear choice.
That's right. Highland Park.
This lovely nose too.
Yeah, really
And I
honeys,
like,
nice clean smoke.
yeah,
Sorry,
there's
Evan?
just a liveness to this. Like it's just
Yeah, dried
ready
berry
for action.
fruits.
Yeah.
I know Tom said Swedish berries on the Glentauchers, but I get more of that on like the palate with the Highland Park. Kind of, there's like a tanginess to it.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it comes by it naturally. It's more geographically adjacent to, at least in
Mhm.
IKEA, but probably to Sweden as well.
It's not far from IKEA. It's true. Uh, Ben Nevi. Thoughts on the Ben Nevi?
Oh, that like fermenty funkiness of the fruit there.
It's just so gooey. Oh man. I hope there's nothing good that follows this because I've already got three picked, and
There
I
isn't.
don't know if I don't know if I want to I don't know if I
Oh,
want to evict one of them.
Benrinnes on the second round is just going to destroy them for you, man.
Oh, it's so
Destroy them
chocolatey.
or destroy
Yeah,
my palate.
that one or the other. Doug agrees.
Doug, why are you so cool? I want to be cool, but I'm not cool like you. Don't have more cool effects with that.
You
That would
know,
hurt.
you have to enable your AI somehow, which
I don't know
I'm
what that
not
means.
sure I've done. Um, yeah,
Me and computers do not get along
Yeah,
yeah.
ever.
yeah.
I could fiddle with it and try to find the setting that allows hand gestures to do stuff, but I'm not going to right now.
All right, that's
I
probably
think the
smart.
best thing I can say
I
about the
was
Ben
waiting for that
Rinnets,
one, Doug.
I
Like,
was like,
what does that one do? Yeah.
that has to be like
Yeah.
reverse
The screen
fireworks,
just goes
like coming
white, right?
at you
At that point.
versus going backwards, I
do
think.
do it again. I wasn't watching that one. What was that one?
Oh, I think you could pick up what was implied there.
Uh,
It- yes.
lame. Um,
Lame.
like the
Hmm.
Ben Rinnes is
Are
good,
we?
but it's
Yeah.
still like my eighth favorite whiskey in the lineup tonight.
It's like a artisanal PB&J sandwich. Like it's jammy. It's got these peanut butter notes. Um, I still think that's really well put together.
Well, Evan, I'm going to one up you and say it's more like a mid-sized town craft brewery. Like the
Oh,
beer's okay, but like it's the only game in town.
It's made by a guy whose cigarette is always has this much ash on it, and at one
It's
point it's gonna
possible.
fall into your glass, and then it
yeah.
All
did.
right. Man, that Jura now is so funky. It's like going into, I don't know,
Oh,
a garden of like your garden full of green vegetables and
and
like
Yeah.
carrots and stuff on a warm day. And like the earth is drying out a little bit. It's
Smoked
so
Gouda.
vegetal.
Yeah.
Their Gouda's there
it's
too, but it's just so
Yeah.
vegetal to me.
it's like a meat lover's pizza with like a really spicy Italian sausage on it.
I was gonna go more like something with olives, like something
Mhm.
with salty olives on it.
Well, there's olives on that pizza too. They didn't get the
Mhm.
memo. It's supposed to be just meat, but it's
Yeah.
definitely
Olives on the
even
palate
green
and
pepper.
It's more like
now too.
back in the day when we continued to order vegetarian pizzas for staff meetings long after we had a vegetarian in the store. And you ask the question, why? Why are we doing this? Who are these vegetarian pizzas
Yeah.
for? No one
HR
wants
said we
them.
had to.
Mhm. Yes, oh, it's cool. It's a cool dram. However, you said peanut butter sandwiches, and then you go to
That
Laphroaig, and to me
that
that was
Jura
all
definitely
enough.
punches well above its price point and its
Yep.
age. It's a great whiskey, but will it be top three? I don't know. That's a tough one. Leapfrog?
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's a, that's fabulous.
Yeah. I love the nose on this Laphroaig. Some of those
Man.
floral notes have kind of blown away, but
Mhm.
the nose is still really cool.
So it got this cool mesquite smoke ashiness to it. Just very
Mhm.
nice.
Man, there are actually what I think can be said about this range is there are so many great whiskeys in it that
Yep.
picking three, let alone two favorites, is going to be very, very difficult.
It's kind of doing it a disservice.
Now, I'm still settling this thing down. Harmony or Evan, are either of you prepared to declare your top three whiskeys tonight? And
I'll
a
toss
warning,
up the
I might only half be listening because I'm still trying to figure out what my top three are.
all good.
Respect, Andrew, respect.
You want to go first, Harmony, or you want me to?
No, go for it.
Okay, I'm gonna wing it. I have to pick that Ben Nevis number one. I just love it so much that combination of like gooey fruit and funkiness is just really hard to beat. I'm gonna take the Jura second. It's just such a surprise as much as anything else that I think I gotta put it at high. And oh, I'm gonna go with
It's
the
a
Highland
tough
Park.
call, Evan.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
Wow.
with the Highland Park as number three. I could have picked the Glentauchers. I could have picked the Laphroaig. I could have picked that Bunnahabhain. They're all great, but I'm gonna right now I'm picking the Highland Park.
Okay.
Evan, I mean, at
Well,
least
Sean
it
agrees.
wasn't Benrinnes. At least you didn't pick the Benrinnes.
I almost picked the Laphroaig, but
Although Benrinnes, I think, can also be referred to as Benrinni if there's more than one.
mhm.
So appropriately.
Sean and I are simpatico. It looks like it too.
Well, good for you guys.
My gosh, guys. Maybe we'll have these on a bottle sometime.
Well, Harmony, are you ready? If you're not, I think
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
prepared to go. All right, you
Glentauchers.
go.
Glentauchers for the win for me.
Cool.
I did love the Ben Nevis, but to just be devil's advocate, that Clynelish is awesome. And
Cool.
how dare you guys for not recognizing it in the first round? But I also didn't because the Glentauchers was awesome. So Glentauchers.
You know what? Harmony was my fifth favorite tonight. So I
Well,
think
there you go.
yeah,
For me, the
that-
Benrinnes and the Jura, not even on the map. Those are my top three. Put them in an
you,
order of whatever suits you.
you broke Doug's heart. You broke his heart.
It's fine. We're not.
Does he have like a AI thing for that?
I don't
No,
know.
doesn't
Do
look like
Yeah,
it.
what's an
something.
upside down heart? Does an upside down heart do something? No?
Yeah,
Yeah.
break it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, there we go. So I'm going Ben Nevis for my favorite tonight. I thought that was like I just loved those like syrupy, saucy notes in it.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go Laphroaig number two. It makes me feel nostalgic for those old school 25-year-old cast strength bottlings from like a decade ago that we don't see anymore. And my third pick was really tough.
Yeah.
But I'm going Glentauchers on that. I think that it's so drinkable. As much as I love that 45-year-old Bunnahabhain, you know, I think I'd still give an edge to like that Port Askeg 45, which is cheaper. And I believe that was a 68. I think those 68 Bunnahabhains were slightly better than the 70s Bunnahabhains, but that's just me. And I really liked, I actually think that Jura would have been my fourth if I had a fourth pick. Like it's a bit of a dark horse, but I'm more apt to drink the other three that I picked than that Jura, and so
Yeah.
that's why I didn't put in there. And
Mhm.
that Bunnahabhain 45, I think, would come in fifth, which is strange for me. I think I've got them all ranked. I think after that it would be Clynelish, Highland Park, and then Benrinnes in that order. But the thing is, they're all great. Even that Benrinnes is one
Yeah.
of the best Benrinnes I've had in years. So like there's no duds in this lineup tonight. It's not like last week's lineup with that Ben Nevis disappointment. Which I don't know if I've mentioned that yet. Have I mentioned that I didn't like the Ben Nevis last week? I think I mentioned a couple times.
You mentioned it.
Mhm.
It's worth
Yeah,
mentioning again, unless it's not
Yeah.
sold out, then it's your favorite, right?
No, we're gonna have
Yeah.
to put it on deep discount.
Yeah.
To get rid
Once
of
your
this
opinion's out
weekend.
there, we might as well just give it away.
That's right.
Well, it's not just my opinion. I mean, I don't know if there was anybody who thought it was great last week.
No, it was a struggle.
Yeah,
Evan,
like it
what's your
was.
funky third question tonight?
Oh,
Oh, well, first we got to see what everybody else voted for.
have
Oh,
so
sure.
there's one person who has yet to vote. Maybe that's Sean because he didn't know he could vote tonight, or can
And
he?
maybe because he's working so hard.
I don't think he can because as a co-host, he's probably still not
Okay.
enabled to. Yeah.
11
Well,
out of
But
11
I'll
answered.
end it and
share the
share it here.
results. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Ooh.
Okay, so first favorite of the night, the Laphroaig takes it. Second place goes to the Glentauchers and then the Ben Nevis.
Ooh, nice.
And
I love
for
it. I love
second
my
favorite,
top three were the people's top three. I'm a man of the
Shocking.
people.
Shocking.
Just want
I'm
that out there.
expecting 5 orders for this Laphroaig.
Benrinnes did get a vote on the first favorite. Everything got a vote
Is-
overall though,
Wait,
which is
is
cool.
Chris Walker in the tasting tonight?
No.
No, shockingly. Maybe he's voting from afar. We had a 3-4-way tie for second favorite of the night, which includes the Clynelish, the Highland Park, the Ben Nevis, and the Laphroaig.
Cool.
Wow.
And then for my cheeky third question, which I am super proud of on this one. This was one of the more woody ones I think I've done.
Woody?
All right, lay it. Witty or woody?
Witty.
both.
Well, maybe woody.
Or is the wittiness the wit that we're prepared
Yeah.
for?
That's right. It's
how he feels about it.
Yeah, it's what you get when you knock on my head there.
All right, Evan, lay it out for us.
Absolutely. Which other Shakespeare character deserves a bottle and what should it be? First choice is that only got one vote is Hamlet, and dark and brooding late teens dram that is so one note and whiny that is impossible to take seriously. Essentially, Evan as a teenager. Second is Romeo and Juliet.
That's good. That's good. That's a good first one. Well done.
Thank you. Next up is Romeo and Juliet, a blend of Laphroaig and Lagavulin to play up the warring houses angle, the Capulets and Montagues, but fighting for water rights.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, can I add to that?
Yeah.
Like, couldn't you at the end of it just how many people actually? I mean, you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to be pilloried for it. I was going to comment on I'm over Romeo and Juliet. I don't know if anyone else is over Romeo and Juliet. I think it's just a little too much wah. So anyway.
Well, Romeo's still better than Hamlet.
Mr. Romantic.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the movie Shakespearean Love, though. It's a delightful romp.
It is.
Next up is King Lear. This has to be 40% ABV NAS Macallan in an absurdly designed bottle and package that sells at retail for more than $5,000, doesn't it?
Gotta get those packages.
Fourth, and this is because I just read the play, Shylock, a Laphroaig that never gets respect of its peers, even when it plays by their own rules. The underdog that gets a taste of power, then ultimately gets done dirty. And that was the first place one. Second place goes to the last one in there, which is Iago, a 70% plus ABV Octomore that kills your palate with a smile on his face. It looks so majestic and inviting, but you can't tell if that glint is coming from the toothy grin or the knife half hidden behind its back.
Evan, what about Othello? Othello could have been in there
Iago's
too.
from Othello, so there you go.
Okay, all right, fair. Interesting. Well, Evan, well done on that. Quite entertaining. I don't know if anyone else has any other suggestions on a Shakespearean character that would have made for a great whiskey pick. And you never know, there might be some life to this. Maybe Livingston and Rare is planning to do 100 years of releases featuring characters from every Shakespearean play ever written. Oh, Doug, that's kind of mean. It's quite mean.
Yeah. Yeah, and why can't I be on that desert island? I'll take his place. I would probably be stuck with a lot of Benrinnes, but those Laphroaigs would be a lot of fun.
That's an example of how one man's pleasure is another man's pain, which is a whole other subject matter we don't need to get into tonight.
Oh my
Well, this
God, we
was
should do a tasting called Pleasure and Pain.
Yeah,
And
that's
for
right.
Harmony.
every whiskey Andrew likes, we have to pick one that we think he'll hate.
Yeah, the S
Well,
and
I
M
think
tasting.
I'm open to it. First, we have to get that Scotland's worst distilleries tasting off the ground and implement it sometime next year. So,
Hmm.
Well,
a battle of Scotland's worst distilleries.
can it be a blind tasting?
Might be semi-blind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I think the
by the
idea
end.
behind it was
Yeah,
that James and I were each going to pick the two distilleries we felt were worst and present a bad example of that distillery. And then the challenge to the other person was to present a good bottle from
yeah.
that, and
I
vice
think
That's
versa.
that's
cool.
a great idea.
Right.
In a blind format, a semi-blind format, because James and I would only know what we selected. I think that could be fun.
Hmm.
So, but anyway, well, listen, this was fun. Again, I know I've said this several times tonight. Hopefully you don't all leave thinking Macbeth was a monster, because he was not, despite the historically important piece of literature that Shakespeare produced about that play. The range of whiskeys was great. I think they all showed well. None of these are in particularly large quantities. I think only 3 shops in the province got most of them. I think we were the only one that got all of them. And even then, we only brought in roughly between 2 and 18 bottles of each. So speaking for KDMs. So if you like some of these tonight, they're not going to last super long. Including that Jura, there's just not a lot of it that came in. So don't let Doug buy it all. If you liked it, you might want to grab one for yourself, because it is probably one of the better value whiskeys in the lineup tonight too. Anyway, thank you everybody for taking part in the tasting tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. For those watching later on Facebook and YouTube, I hope you enjoyed the lineup as well. And until next time, cheers.